Gotta love that Disney Plus show formula of the first two episodes being okay, and then episodes 3 and 4 are just complete filler. And then probably the last episode or the second to last episode would be someone else's origin story, and then the last finale is this ugly CGI battle. Because that formula strikes again here. This episode, episode 4 of the Acolyte, also known as the Trashcolite, can also be now known as the Walkalite, because this whole episode they just spend it walking through a forest. Yeah, imagine you're a Jedi Knight and you're on a mission to go rescue one of your friends, 2 of which have been killed already. Right, so you're gonna rescue your friend from being assassinated, and you have a team with you, and you go to the planet he lives. But let's take our time, guys. We're not in a rush. Let's walk. It's just so annoying. So anyway, this episode starts off with everything that happened after episode 2, because last week's episode was also a flashback filler episode. So everything happens after they encounter May on whatever planet they were on. And, everyone's just doing their regular thing. And then Osha is trying to just leave. Like, she's just trying to leave without even saying goodbye to Soul, at least. And this is just weird, because this is literally the guy that believed in her when no one else did. So you would think, the person who believed in me when no one did, when everyone else called me a criminal or a Sith, I gotta say goodbye to him, right? No, not Osha. In Osha's brain, everything is resolved. She's like, oh, I'm not the criminal, so I'm good to go, right? And, I don't care what May does. She could do whatever she wants. But basically, Soul is like, no, that's your sister. You gotta go to her. We gotta confront her together. You gotta face your past. Face whatever's been holding you back. And then she's just like, alright, I guess I'll go. So, her, Soul, Yord, and X-23 from the Logan movie, because I can't remember her name right now, they go to whatever planet the Wookiee Jedi Master is on. It's not Kashyyyk, but it's some other planet. And this is the dumb part. So they're looking for the Wookiee Jedi, but they stop to go talk to some nearby villagers or civilians of the planet. And the girl Padawan is being useful in collecting information by talking to the civilians. Everyone else is just standing around sightseeing. They're like, oh, wow, look at that. Right? And I'm like, how is it Padawan the only one being useful right here? All of you should be collecting information. Okay? As much as you try to make it look like a money shot, Disney, that doesn't work. Sorry. So anyway, while the only useful Padawan in the show is collecting information, Yor goes up to Osha and just goes, oh, you're gonna have to hand over that weapon, referring to her blaster that she missed May with at point blank range in episode 2. He's like, yeah, you're gonna have to hand that back over. She's like, no, it's mine now. And he's like, well, actually it belongs to the Jedi Council. It's their property, right? And I'm like, dude, they're in the middle of a damn mission. Why would you wait till we get to the middle of the mission in uncharted territory to say, I need to hand my weapon over? That makes no sense. I'm sure a day and a half or 2 has passed since your last encounter with May. So you could have literally said it any other time before then. But no, you wait till you're in the middle of a mission to go, oh yeah, you need to hand your weapon over. It just don't make sense. That part was just really stupid. Oh, I forgot to mention, before Soul gets sent to his mission with his team, this green chick that's a Jedi Master above him in the hierarchy, I guess, she's giving him a hard time, and she's like, oh, how come you didn't tell me? He's like, what? How could you keep the fact that there was a twin sister all this time? And he's like, I didn't know. She literally fell into a pit and she was a child. He's like, how am I supposed to know? And she's still giving him a hard time for it. And it's just weird because you expect them to tell you about a dead child. Was that gonna do for you? Right? So clearly he would have told you if he would have known she was still alive. So I guess not only there weren't Sith around 100 years ago, but there wasn't common sense 100 years ago in Star Wars either. So anyway, back to the forest part of the episode. They're walking, and then there's these trees, and they're kind of like wrapped around with something weird. It looks like a bug texture, like a beetle, like a dung beetle or something. So Osha touches one of them, and then she walks like maybe 5 steps, and then we can hear the bug wake up and move, and you can hear the bug crawling on the tree, and it goes away. So Osha turns around and is like, right? And like she sensed something all of a sudden with the forest, and she looks at the exact tree she just touched and noticed that there's nothing there now, right? And then she looks farther back and she sees the bug flying. So she calls the rest of the Jedi for help, and Soul takes out his lightsaber and the bug charges at Soul and he cuts the bug in half. Alright. And she's like, oh my god, yo, Soul, I sensed it. I'm sensing things again. I'm like, I think you just heard the bug crawl up the tree. Especially a bug that big, crawling against the tree, you can hear it crawl. Like literally in the episode, you can hear it crawl. So while that's happening, May and Quimmer, her little bar assistant friend, are walking together so they could go find a Wookiee themselves. And Quimmer is like, just lecturing her about her mission. He's like, yeah, you're not really doing a good job so far with how you've been killing the Jedi, even though he gave her poison when she went to go kill her Last Jedi. So he's partially to blame for her. But, the writers just don't have common sense, right? And May is trying to, ask about, their master, right? She's like, have you ever seen his face? And he's like, nah, I've never seen his face. And then it's making you think like, well, okay, May is force sensitive and she's Sith material in that guy's eyes. But what does Quimmer have to offer, right? It's like, what does he have to offer? He's a regular dude, right? So that's just a little suspicious to me. Then May asks how it was when the guy met Osha, and he's like, oh, she just seemed like she was over her league, she was doing over the top stuff, she was way in over her head, he says. And I'm like, not really, she was calm, but okay. And then he goes, oh, this doesn't change the fact that, just because you see your sister, your mission is changing. No, your mission is still the same. Seeing your sister changes nothing, right? And that's kind of weird for someone to say that's just a side friend of her, right? So that kind of makes him look really suspicious, like there's something he's not telling us or her. So then, kind of after he says that, a few minutes go by and she puts him in his trap, kind of like a Looney Tunes style. Oh, I caught you, now you're hanging upside down by a rope trap, right? And she's like, you're right, I could do everything on my own, but things do change now that my sister's alive. I don't have to kill the Wookiee Jedi. I'm just gonna turn myself in and then tell them everything that happened. Yeah, right? So she just leaves him hanging there, right? Meanwhile, we cut to her again, and she's kind of like traveling by herself in the forest. And then it looked like she's about to start running, and then she trips over nothing. Kind of like how they do in horror movies, where they just, where they just have Aang the Avatar off camera airbend at their feet, and they just fall over nothing, right? So she falls into this plant, and then that's when she faces a raccoonish looking creature, or some groundhog lookish creature that was traveling with the Jedi, and he alerts the Jedi that he found May. So they go running towards her location, and then she randomly runs somewhere, and coincidentally, bailing the convenience, she's at her target's house, right? So she runs in there, and she still has this plan to turn herself into the Jedi. And she's like, yo, hey, are you there? She's looking at the Wookiee, but the Wookiee is like faced away from her, sitting in the chair. So I'm like, oh, okay, he's definitely dead, right? And she turns the chair around, and we see the Wookiee dead with the lightsaber slashed to the chest. It's just completely cut across. So a lightsaber slash is more lethal than a lightsaber stab in Star Wars, man. So keep that in mind. So after that reveal that the Wookiee is dead, Osha and the rest of the Jedi are like, come out slowly with your hands up, right? And then the Sith Master that May has been working for this whole time appears behind them, but Soul is the first and only one to detect him, right? Soul is the only one in this whole show who's like has 4 senses, because everybody else just stands there looking dumb. Wow, Soul is like, whoa, something's not right here, right? He's the only competent Jedi here, besides the little girl Padawan from earlier. So the Sith guy levitates down, right, using the Force, and he goes behind Osha. And then he ignites his lightsaber in front of her, but he doesn't kill her. He just ignites his lightsaber and stares at her. Then the other Jedi panic and pull out their lightsabers, and the Sith guy force pushes Osha to the side, and then all the Jedi are charging at him at once, and then he does a force push and knocks them all back. But guess what? Guess what happens after that? The episode ends. The episode ends. It's just terrible. Like, every time something okay happens in the show, or something picks up, the episode just ends. I don't get that. These might as well just be hour-long episodes if you're gonna keep bullshitting your audience, right? So this episode gets a 2 out of 10. 1 point for existing, and 1 point for finishing, so I can get on with the rest of my life. Alright. So now this makes me think that Quimmer is the Sith guy, because he was coincidentally left behind by Osha. I mean, not by Osha, by May, before she could get to the Wookiee, right? And when she got there, the Wookiee was dead already, right? And it couldn't have been, a whole separate being, because how would the Master have known that they were on that planet unless he was already there in the form of Quimmer, right? So, and this also adds up because he's saying all this weird stuff like, oh, this doesn't change your mission, you still need to kill the Jedi without using weapons, you owe him, da-da-da-da-da. And he's not telling her what he has to offer for this mission, right? Since they quote-unquote both work under the Master. And, this episode was just boring in general. They were just walking through the forest the whole time. And then on top of that, the dialogue was just terrible. Like, for example, right before they get off the ship, when they're on the Wookiee's planet, they're doing this mission debrief, right? And Soul is giving out really important information. But, Disney, every scene gotta have comedy in it in some shape or form. So they make Pip the droid be annoying, because the little creature-like person that's helping them track May down is staring at the droid, and Pip is scared, I guess, so he keeps beeping, and Osha's like, be quiet, and the worst part about this is we don't get to hear what Soul is saying because that audio fades, because we have to focus on Disney's new toy cell known as Pip that nobody's gonna buy, right? So Pip squirts water in the creature's face, and then she gets up and stands next to the girl Padawan, and she's like, "Oh yeah, is he or they on part of this mission?" Right? She says something like that, and I'm like, here we go with the pronouns. Here we go. Last time I checked, if we don't know the gender of an animal, we just usually say it in the real world, right? So that was just weird. Is he or they coming along with us? Like, clearly the thing looks like a dude. You could have just left it at he, and then maybe if it was the wrong gender, she would have corrected her, right? She would have corrected Ocean and said, no, it's a she. But the whole they thing was so forced in that part. Also, another dumb piece of dialogue is when the green girl is yelling at Soul for not telling them about a child that looked like she died 16 years ago. So, like, there's literally no point of telling you about a dead child because it's not going to help your case. And had he did know she was still alive, he would have been said something, right? So that was just stupid on her part. And it's like, how do these people become masters again? They lack common sense, right? No wonder Palpatine, took over the Jedi in the galaxy right under your noses, because everybody's just stupid, right? And that last piece of dialogue that was stupid was just when Yor was like, I'm gonna need that blaster. Yeah, bro, wait till the middle of the mission to say you need my only weapon of defense. Yeah. I'm glad you're a Jedi. Yeah, they picked a good one with you. Also, another thing, where's Yoda? Right? His species could live up to like 1,000 years, and in the prequels he used to say, oh yeah, I trained with Jedi 800 years ago. So, where is he? He should get a mention or a cameo in the background, right? But no, not Disney. We need all these new original characters that nobody cares about because we can't write for them, alright? If Yoda was there, everything would make a little more sense. Decisions would be made better, alright? So if Yoda would have went to the mission with them and York was talking about how he needs her weapon, it would have been like this. York would have been like, I'm gonna need that weapon. It's part of the Jedi property. And then Yoda would have came in and be like,
stupid, you sound. Defender with that gun. Ocean must.
Right? Or when the green girl was yelling at Soul for not telling her about a dead child, right?
Stupid, you sound. Off the Jedi Council, you should be.
Right? So, I'm just saying, Yoda would make the show a lot better, but then again, Disney would probably find a way to ruin it, right? So, yeah, other than that, that's gonna be it for this review of this episode. This episode is just dumb. It felt like a filler, even though we had a filler episode last week. So, they clearly don't know what they're doing. I honestly don't care what happens next. Either Quimmer is this new Sith guy, or Quimmer also has a twin who's a Sith guy. I don't know. Or the Sith guy can be freaking Anakin that time traveled. Because remember, he blew up the Death Star, according to the cast of the show. So yeah, that's going to be about it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. That'll really help me out with this channel. And I'll see you guys in the next show.